Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Roughie's football show, sponsored by Arnold Clark. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff and Charlie Adam here with me on this Wednesday. Delighted you could join us. You can follow us on our Facebook. Thank you very much to the thousands of people who've all hit the follow button. You can do it too, and you can share the stream with your friends, let them know about it. And on YouTube, all you have to do is hit the subscribe button and you can join the football family. We're on Twitter as well. You can give us your thoughts on not only the games tonight, but of course the stories that have been developing over the last 24 hours. One of the main ones is, of course, that switch now in desire to break away in a European Super League. Everybody doing a U-turn. Roughie still waiting on Real Madrid, Barcelona. Of course, Andrea Agnelli of Juventus, the chairman there, still to make an official statement on it, but I think he accepts the fact now that the European Super League is dead for the moment.
Yeah, I think the outcry from everybody was so much. I don't think any of these clubs had any alternative. The supporters are the lifeblood of all these clubs. And they made their feelings felt, as everybody in the game did. I don't remember hearing anybody being looking forward to it at all. So, no, I think the owners have had to climb down dramatically. I think they'll be seriously upset about it because obviously they needed the money. So they'll just have to get on with it just now until that avenue happens, whether it's 5, 10 or whatever years, but definitely not happening now.
Yeah, Alexander Seferin has called for unity. The UEFA chief had this to say about the clubs suddenly deciding not to join it. I said yesterday that it is admirable to admit a mistake, and these clubs made a big mistake, but they are back in the fold now, and I know they have a lot to offer, not just to our competition, but to the whole of the European game. The important thing now is that we move on, rebuild the unity that the game enjoyed before this, and move forward together. Well, that seems like a fairly succinct statement, but I think there's lots of questions to ask Charlie surrounding this. But first and foremost, you can see the outcry and the fan power and the disgust at what was happening suddenly forced some owners into a really quick rethink.
Yeah, it was incredible, the change from Sunday evening to then even Monday evening on Monday Night Football, and then obviously Tuesday the owners had to backtrack and withdraw from the competition. It was for me it was a shambles, and I want to see the Champions League. Listen, obviously rejig it a little bit and try and have a different structure, but to go and have a breakaway league, it was just down to greed. And thankfully, these clubs have admitted defeat and come out and said sorry, some of them, and we have to sort of get on with it. But I think there's still more to come from it, and we'll see where it goes for in the future.
Yeah, I think a lot of fans are looking for apologies right across the board from their respective owners, chairman, chief executives. But certainly Liverpool owner John Henry was quick to put out a video apology to the supporters, but I'm not quite sure it cuts it with them.
I want to apologize to all the fan supporters of Liverpool Football Club for the disruption I caused over the past 48 hours. It goes without saying, but should be said, that the project put forward was never going to stand without the support of the fans. No one ever thought differently in England. Over these 48 hours, you were very clear that it would not stand. We heard you. I heard you. And I hope you'll understand that even when we make mistakes, we're trying to work in your club's best interests. In this endeavor, I've let you down. Again, I'm sorry. And I alone am responsible for the unnecessary negativity brought forward over the past couple of days. It's something I won't forget.
Well, the Arsenal fans are raging because Stan Kroenke has just said the board have apologised. John Henry's come out and apologised, Roughie, but I'll tell you, some people actually think his days are numbered with this.
Yeah, I think the first thing you get is they seem to be out of touch. I know they live abroad and everything, and they're not over here very often. And these people, these very, very wealthy people, do come up with ideas that make themselves a lot of money. But this one is just a drastic misjudgment, you know, in what the football is all about over here. Liverpool in particular is about the fans, and it's always been about the fans. So I think the biggest thing is they've overlooked everybody. They've overlooked the fans. They've overlooked the players at the clubs. They've overlooked the managers who are running these clubs, you know, and just try to do it themselves. You know, I don't know if that's the way business works at that level. You look at the NFL and you look at the basketball leagues, you know, that again, there's no promotion or relegation over there. They have some group stages and then they all join in and then they have a playoff. So maybe they thought because it works over there, it would work here. But no, I think he's been brought into line, you know, basically because teams like Liverpool are the fan base of the club.
Yeah, absolutely. And over and above, Tony Hutchison says, I thought this was a Scottish football show. Well, Tony, it has implications for Scottish football because had they got away with it, Celtic and Rangers would never have had a sniff of a European Super League. It would have been a second-rate tournament in Europe. So that's why most people are up in anger about this. It does have far-reaching implications, and dare I say it, with a few questions I'm going to ask you guys. This is not the end of it. I noticed Sky Sports had a big statement saying it's over. For me, it's not over. It's just a moving of the chessboard to see how they can somehow try and weasel their way into another situation where they can get more money out of it. Of course, the reason why I say that is because every pundit and their granny knows that they are desperate for money, desperate to find ways of getting more money than everybody else. Former Celtic striker Chris Sutton said the big six in England are shameless.
Look, I think that last night was one of the greatest nights we've had in our game. The question is how on earth did we get here? And there's still a lot of questions which need answering. I think that the couple of days previous to that, it's been pretty depressing. 6 of our greatest clubs had turned their back on our country and our leagues, and it would have affected the whole football pyramid. They are the shameless 6. And they totally underestimated the fans across the country.
Well, here's my questions for you, Charlie. What penalties for the breakaway clubs? Do you think this will result in a change in power? And I'm talking about, voting rights or bans for them. And do you think it will in any way prompt a change in a more fairer attitude towards clubs who suddenly have found themselves, like Celtic and Rangers, playing qualifiers?
Me personally, Peter, I don't think there'll be any issue. I think it will just get the top 6 clubs in the English league round the table with UEFA, and they'll give their point. I don't think they'll punish them. I think that they'll be disappointed and things like that. But there was talk about them getting thrown at the Champions League for these semi-finals next week. But now because everything's swept under the carpet, they're allowed to play in these games and move on. And maybe one of these English clubs might win the Europa League and the Champions League. So for me, I just think it'll be listen, we've made a mistake. We're sorry. Can we get round the table and speak about it? And no, but I think there will be a different Champions League in the next year or two. And these clubs will always want the power, and they'll always have the power because they're so big.
Yeah, it's a good point you make. I mean, one of the things that I think the Crystal Palace chairman made yesterday, which again was something that I was aware of, Roughie, but not a lot of people will be aware of it. Matthew Parrish was talking about the fact that some of these big clubs are sharing 30% of the kitty because of their historic record in the tournament. That's a nonsense.
Yeah, I mean that's why they've got 4 clubs, from the division in it. They think this allocation because you've done well or somebody's done well that you're allowed to get another 2 or 3 clubs in. My biggest worry is that these clubs are very, very big and they've got a lot of power. My worry is that UEFA, who realise they're big and they really do need them. So my worry is that they get round the table and they start trying to appease them. They start trying to make it, easier for them to get more money and make it easier for them to get into competitions, and everybody else suffers. Because, I think it's a warning to UEFA that that's what they're trying to do. So I think UEFA will try and get them on board again, and what promises they offer them will probably hinder everybody else.
Well, I wouldn't make them any promises whatsoever at all. If anything, I would try and rein in some of their power. I mean, the worst thing about it all is, don't kid yourself, Karl-Heinz Rummenigge is honorary chairman now of the European Club Association, and he thinks the group stages are boring because of the gap between the big clubs and the minnows. So he's clearly, over the last few years, and I've been watching him closely, in favour of the big clubs getting more, not only of the kitty, but a greater involvement, whether whether they're worthy of it or not. I don't know about you, Charlie. I would like to see, and I know it's a bit radical, no seeding in the groups. I'd like to see a knockout, one leg after the group stages, go into a one-leg knockout. If you're that good, you'll get through. And all the champions.
So say, for instance, it was Man United against Real Madrid. They'd go and play and say Lisbon or something, a one-off game like that.
No, I would have the champions of respective countries in the tournament. I wouldn't have any seeding in the group stages when you eventually have.
No, that's what I'm saying is, but what you're saying, a one-off game, would you say I have a one-off game? So say Real Madrid against Man United would be, I'm talking about one-off, they both qualified, one-off game in Lisbon.
Yes.
Like in a neutral venue and have a one-off game.
Changes it completely. Changes the way they play the game as well.
I'm all for that as well.
And for the big five countries, second, third, and fourth, who haven't won anything, they just finished second, third, and fourth. If you're that good, you play the qualifiers to get into the group stages because you're not a champion.
I'm all for it. I've said I'm the same. Like I say, Rangers and Celtic, whoever wins the league should be straight in because they're the champions of that country. I understand there's a seeding thing and how you got to work in that, but the champions should be in there first and foremost, and then the rest should play a playoff or whatever to get into the Champions League.
Yeah, and the other thing about it, Roughie, which is quite scary, is because of the huge debts from Real Madrid to Barcelona. I mean, they were talking about UEFA fair play and how they monitor clubs' finances. They're clearly not monitoring Real Madrid and Barcelona. They've overspent. They're $1 billion in debt, and they're desperately working out ways to try and get their hands on as much cash as possible to get them out of the mire. Now, I don't believe Real Madrid and Barcelona have got a God-given right to be in the Champions League all the time. You should be like every other business. You run with it, and if you're successful, then you reap the rewards. But there are times when you are not, so you have to suffer the same fate as everybody else.
Yeah, I think it should be that way. It should be, if you're playing in Spain and you win the league, then you're in it. If you don't win it, then you're in the Europa Cup. That's the way it should be. And I would stop this when you get the group stages, where if you're not good enough for the Champions League, you drop into the Europa. If you're not good enough, you're out. If you're out, you're out. You can't be given another avenue going and hindering the clubs who are in the Europa, trying to win that. So that rule has to be changed as well. But you're right that, I mean, it's common sense. You can't be paying somebody £300,000 a week and you're only getting a crowd of 50,000 in. Financially, it just doesn't work. I know you get all the TV money and everything, but I'd love to know the ins and outs of the budgets of these clubs because they just don't tie up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can see the headline now, Roughie, at the end of the programme. Roughie says, if you're out, you're out. You're not just out, you're out. So you've summed it up perfectly, Roughie. Anyway, listen, it'll go on non-stop, but believe me, all this nonsense about, the mutiny is over. It's just beginning. They will be now, again, as Alexander Seferin talked about, the snakes will be in the background, working out a way to try and wield their power from within, to try and get their way again. And I hope somehow that UEFA take a stance on this. Anyway, lots of things to talk about, including, of course, some tasty games. Just briefly, though, Charlie, you were back playing second half for Dundee in the game. Only a point, but I still think you guys, Dundee, will be good enough to get there in the playoff.
Yeah, it wasn't first 45 wasn't a great spectacle to watch, and then also I got brought in at half time and the game sort of changed a little bit, and a couple of red cards, and like you say, the goal that we lost was wasn't great, and then all of a sudden we're chasing the game, from 1-0 down, and we get a point. Should have had all three. There was a goal ruled offside. It was never offside, but you dust yourself down and we go again. We've got 2 games to get into second place, and if we can do that, it'd be great. If not, we'll sit down and we'll look to trying to get into the playoffs. And it's a great way of trying to get promoted. And as long as we reach that end goal of promotion, then it doesn't matter how we do it. But it's a tough couple of games coming up. Wraith at home and Queen's away, so we have to try and win both games to see where it leaves us.
Yeah, Wraith's a big one though. They're a good footballing side.
They're a good side, yeah. No, John's got them playing well. I think they're a different side from on the AstroTurf to they are on the grass. A lot of people don't. The way they play on the Astros, is they like to knock it round, and if you're not set up properly, they can find ways round you. So it'll be a difficult game, but at home, I'd expect us to put pressure on them, and they play Hearts away, I think, last day of the season. So it'll be a tough one for them.
Yeah, I don't know if you've noticed, Charlie, but Roughie's got the cigars out at the moment because the Jags are at top of the table. There's an arrogance about them now. I don't know if you've noticed from them. Hey, can you do it, Roughie?
Well, we're playing well. The manager who was coming in for a wee bit of stick a month ago has got the players all working for themselves, battling away. They're pressing the game. They're just biding their time. Sometimes in these, as Charlie will tell you, when you play against these teams, you've just got to wear them down. Dumbarton, although they're down where they are in that league, I think they've conceded less goals than most of the teams at the top. So you've got to really, fight for everything. But there was a bit of humour at the end of the game. And you've been in the Dumbarton Park, Peter, where there's only a main stand and everything else is just bare. The lower league clubs, I don't know if it's the same with Charlie in the Championship, but the lower league clubs have the option, because of no balls with the COVID, they can either put balls strategically parked around the park. When the ball goes out the stadium, you get a ball in quickly. But most of these teams down the bottom elect to have one ball. So you can imagine if one ball in play in Dumbarton's Park when most of the balls are going out the park. And I don't know whether it's a tactic for them to slow the game down, and we obviously are rushing about to trying to get a goal. But once we got the goal, with 10 minutes to go, it turned into
there's balls everywhere.
It turned into a Sunday afternoon game in the park, because every time one of your defenders got the ball, they kicked it so far out the park that you could go into the box. There was nothing up the park. It was woof, right at the stadium, and it was so funny, from good for the opposite of slowing it down to try and get another ball in the park. It became hilarious in the end, because at one stage there was no ball. They didn't have a ball to play with, so the clock was ticking down, which suited us, obviously. But
absolutely. I was surprised, Roughie. I saw the fourth official holding up 32 minutes additional time at the end. But nevertheless, you got there, which is good. Some news coming in. Arsenal have just tweeted that Kieran Tierney will be back in training in 2 to 3 weeks. Boy, that's a bonus for us, Charlie. Yeah, no, for Scotland, it's that'll be a great bonus for him. I didn't think he'd be out for the rest of the season and be a worry for him. So for him, it'll be we just got to pray as a Scotland fan that he can get through the next couple of weeks and then get a few games ready for the Euros in the summer. But it's a big boost for us. Yeah, absolutely. Here's a look at what's happening tonight. There's a full card of Scottish Premiership fixtures, and I can tell you it's Hamilton against Motherwell, Hibs against Livingston. Livingston 6 o'clock kickoff, which is why we don't have our Bond villain, Tam McManus, with us. Johnstone Rangers, Aberdeen, Celtic, Kilmarnock against Dundee United, and Ross County at home to St Mirren. Of course, I did pose this question yesterday. I don't think it has any great impact in Scott Brown. Do you think it'll matter? He's coming up against what will be effectively his new side. Does that change a player's mindset, Charlie? No. He'll be going there to try and win the football match, because that's what he is, the winner. And he'll probably want to leave him a little bit of a marker as well to say, listen, lads, next season is it's going to be tough for us, and this is the standard that I'm going to set day in, day out, and you've got to try and come to this level with me.
So I think it'll be a good learning curve for McCrory and Ferguson tonight if he plays. John Kennedy might think the best thing for both situations is not to play, but Scott will want to play, and it'll be interesting to see how he does. But I still think, let's say before, and Tam knows as well, I think it's a great sign for Aberdeen, and the quicker he can get up there and settle in and get that football club moving forward, will be beneficial for them.
Yeah, Celtic caretaker manager John Kennedy quite at ease with throwing his captain into tonight's game.
I've absolutely no issues with it at all. In terms of, I know Scott inside out, I know how he operates, ultimate professional, and regardless who he's representing, he's fully committed to anything. So I've got no issues in terms of Scott approaching this game.
It would have been interesting, Roughie, had there been fans in the stadium. I mean, that's the great. I mean, a lot of players have missed out on that. A lot of chairmen and owners have missed out in suffering the real wrath of supporters. I mean, you all have to look at Chelsea. They made a real move last night on Stamford Bridge. But, Scott Brown in a Celtic jersey coming up against the Aberdeen fans, you wonder what kind of reception it would have been at Pittodrie tonight.
Yeah, and Scott Brown's one of these players that fans do like to have a wee go at and a wee bit of a voice and battle with him. I think you'll remember the time we were up there and it was Chris Boyd that was getting it. Chris, he was getting pelters, and then Chris scored the goal, and they had a wee bit of fun with the supporters. And I think that's what it'll be like with Scott. Unfortunately, there isn't any supporters in just now, but I'm like Charlie. He'll just go out there and he'll do what Scott Brown does. He'll want to let the McCrorys and the Fergusons know that this is what they're going to be getting next year. And he won't pull out any tackles. And that's just the way he is.
I've got Aberdeen 1, Celtic 2. Charlie, what have you got?
I'm going to go for 1-1.
1-1. Roughie?
Yeah, I'm going to go Celtic 2-1 as well. Although they got beat at the weekend, I thought they created a few chances, and if they take them this time, I don't think Aberdeen have got 2 goals in them, to tell you the truth. So I'm going to go Celtic 2-1.
Yeah, just before we talk about Rangers and Johnstone, I can tell you some breaking news, which will be interesting to get Charlie's comments on. Rangers have announced a new investor at Ibrox as the club continue to attract interested businessmen. This time it's Perron Investments LLC has been confirmed as the club's investor. They've acquired 4.16% of a stake in the club, totaling 16.25 million shares. The beneficial owner of those shares, John Halstead, is the president of Pamplona Capital Management, which is a multinational asset management firm with offices in London, New York, Boston, Malta, Monaco and Madrid. Interesting development, Charlie.
Yeah, no, I was just quickly trying to look to see who John Halstead was. Listen, I've said it before, I don't understand why the big, rich, obviously Donald Park has put a lot of money in, and John Bennett and people like that have put huge sums of money in. I don't understand why the rich of the rich have not invested in Rangers. I know obviously Dermot Desmond's a very wealthy man and has invested a lot of money into Celtic, but somebody, that's with, talking billions of pounds could come to Rangers and have an opportunity to compete in the Champions League. I understand the league is not as strong as the Premier League, but if somebody like Dermot Desmond's willing to come and compete in Scottish football to get into the Champions League, because that's where everybody wants to be, in the Champions League, it's great. But for Rangers, I think it's another piece of business. More money coming to the football club. Obviously, Edmonstone Drive is going to be starting to get built soon as well, and everything inside the stadium they've changed. The training ground. Rangers are on a good, they're on a good flow at the moment, and the director of there that brings the sponsorship and has done a wonderful job bringing all these sponsors in and attracting some money into the football club. So only good news for Rangers, and I'm sure Stephen and Ross Wilson will be looking to spend a few of the pennies in the summer.
Yeah, well, I mean, that is the key here. It just shows you how astute the appointment of Steven Gerrard, Roughie, because the rewards of winning that league, suddenly people are looking and thinking, this as a product is worth investing in again.
Rangers have always been a product. You just look at the support that comes in, good times or bad times. 50,000. And the main objective was winning the league and back into European football. They've done a good turn in the Europa. They want to be in the Champions League. They see the money that's coming in there. So everything is flying at Rangers at the moment. And the investors want to invest in winning sides and things that are going well. The thing I understand, I'm not a financial guy, Peter, but how do these shares become available? How I mean, does somebody have to give? Is it a Dave?
Why did you ask that question? Honestly, do you know what? In 2010, I had to continually go and ask the guy at PricewaterhouseCoopers on the whole situation at Rangers. I'll never forget it. And then you come out with that line there. Basically, what happens is they offer up. Anybody can buy someone else's shares, or they offer up a new set of shares that people can purchase for a stake in the club, Roughie. And that's what's happened. And it's happened quite a lot over the last couple of years.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
You happy with that?
No, yeah, okay. Happy with that. Yeah, I just don't know how. I know Dave King had offered his shares to the other organisation, and they were desperate to take that up because the fan ownership, or not fan ownership, but part of the thing. I was just wondering if that was part of his shares that he was putting up. That was all.
Yeah, I think it could be. I think possibly that'll be Dave King's shares maybe getting sold and things like that. But this guy seems to be, I'm just having a read there now, that he's Harvard-educated. Halstead is managing director Pamplona Investments, and over the last, since 2015, capital of 11 billion they've raised. So his company. So
I think the good thing about it now is the people who are investing in Rangers are people with a bit of respect. People who are good in the financial world, whereas I think the last 10 years the people who have been associated with Rangers haven't had the same clout as what they have. So some of the people that are investing are big time players now.
Well, there's no doubt that Douglas Park and countless other Rangers fans have invested to try and keep Rangers moving in the right direction. A lot of them have put in money without any wish to have it back short term. So this move here is an interesting one. It'll be interesting to see how that develops from 4.16%. I know the fans have really put their money in. I mean, I think Club 1872 have actually bought another group of shares over the last 48 hours as well. So, everybody's chipping in, and that's really what is the lifeblood of any team, is the fans and their commitment to the club. So it'll be interesting to see where this all goes. But as Charlie's just mentioned there, a wee bit of research, seems to have got a bit of money, seems to have the know-how how to make money. We shall see what develops. As far as what develops on the park, Rangers want to go the entire season unbeaten domestically in the league, and Gary McAllister says for that reason they'll have a strong team out.
We'll probably freshen up in the league game on Wednesday, but over the two games we'll be strong because we want to continue our form in the league, and we want to progress in the cup. So we'll be strong over the two games. We know St Johnstone, they know us. We've played each other three times already. So the message from us is we'll be strong, and we want to continue our run.
Yeah, I think there is that real incentive, Charlie, to try and go through the entire season without anybody taking 3 points off them.
Yeah, I know Gary's going to say we're going to be strong, but that'll be bringing in maybe a Defoe. Tavernier might come in for a game as well. So, Scott Wright might get an opportunity. So it's no that they're going to bring in young kids. You know what I mean? The lads that have been involved in the Europa League might get a rest, and they'll bring in 3 or 4 different players that have been on the bench. So Rangers will be strong. They'll be looking to win the game, and I think they might just edge this 2-1 tonight, with a view to the weekend, because the weekend is the bigger game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Rangers are going to win this one as well, Roughie. What about yourself?
Yeah, I've got Rangers down for a 2-0 win. I think they'll be strong and solid at the back again. So I'm going to go Rangers 2-0.
Yep, I've got Rangers to win by 3-0. Can't see St Johnstone breaching that Rangers defence. But over and above that, there's no surprise the question to the St Johnstone boss, Callum Davison, is What would you take? A league win over Rangers or possibly a cup win?
It's a funny one. Probably be the Scottish Cup. It'd probably be the game I'd like to win more, but I'd take any. Take a victory over Rangers this season. I think they've been phenomenal in the performances in the league and the cup, and obviously in Europe as well. So I'd take any victory would be nice.
Yep, managers are greedy. Roughie, Hibs against Livingston. Tam's obviously doesn't want to drive his car too fast, work here and then fire through to Edinburgh in double quick time. But as far as the game's concerned, I mean, you've got to hand it. We're talking about Rangers fans backing their club. Hibs fans have really got behind the team. I think they've purchased about 1,000 season tickets already. They are motoring. They've got the bit between their teeth on this one.
It's all about success. The same as Rangers. Hibs' season has been fantastic. They get beaten in the semi-final of the Cups, but they're up there third and they want to finish third. They want to be in Europe. And that's what the fans are buying into. They like the players that they're bringing to the club and the success that the club's getting. So why wouldn't you get in early? And I think they've still got something to go for tonight. I know Livingston got a good draw against Aberdeen at the weekend and it went extra time, but I think Hibs really need to go for the push now because Aberdeen are still sort of in touching distance and they won't want to let that go. So I'm going to go Hibs to win 2-0.
Oh, interesting. I'm looking at the game itself. We're talking about the supporters backing Hibernian, but when you look at the team on the park, Charlie, they've got something to play for. They've got 4 points of a difference between themselves and Aberdeen. Games running out. This would be a tremendous achievement for Jack Ross.
No, this would be brilliant. I think he's done an excellent job. He's done as what can you as Hibs finishing third is obviously the cream in the league. The cup competition was a big blow to them, but they reacted in the right way. They never lost sight of what they wanted, and if they could finish third, be great. And I'm not surprised that Hibs fans have come out and started supporting them by getting the season ticket early because they'll be thinking about Aberdeen next season because Aberdeen will be a different force next year as well. So they'll be thinking if we can get an edge on that and start now, then it'll be great. So I think next season could be a good one, a good battle between they two, and I think Hibs should win tonight and comfortably finish third. So I'm going to go for a 3-0 win.
Yep, I've got the Hibbies to win, and the manager, Jack Ross, is keen on them just to get the win.
We need to keep winning to ensure that we finish where we are in the league and keep progressing in the cup and win it. We have a small squad, but a competitive one. We made a couple of changes at the weekend and freshen it slightly again. Tomorrow evening we've got concerns over one or two as well, given the turnaround of the game. So, but I've got a lot of players that have contributed this season. Having that small squad, I think they've all felt part of it. So, and I've got that trust in them. I think irrespective of the group that we've got to use for each game, that they'll produce what they have in the main this season.
Let's not forget as well, Roughie, they're playing against the Livingston side who are suddenly thinking we could make Europe.
Yeah, I was reading that. You've got to believe once you're in that top six, you've got to believe that your players can get back to where they were. Although it was encouraging for them last week, I just feel Hibs have got the match winners up front now. The two strikers are beginning to get their act together and share the scoring. Other players are chipping in. We all know Livingston make it difficult, but no, I'm going to stick with Hibs. You're not going to get me to change my mind on this one. What score did you go for?
I think I've gone for Hibs to win 2-0, Roughie. I think I've sent it on the text to you. Don't worry, you'll be able to check it.
It's getting very crucial. Running out of games.
It is.
What's the difference?
Charlie.
It's quite tight, but the most important thing now is the restaurants are opening up, so it's beginning very crucial.
By the way, I'm just jumping on the back of this. Whoever it is, I'm just jumping on the back of this for the loser.
Charlie, you can come along, by the way. It's going to be great. It's a right good night out. And it's especially at the end of it, Charlie, when you actually go, can we have the cheque, please? And then you just hand it over, usually to Roughie. But, McManus has got a very slender lead, and I think we're going to reel him in over the next 3 or 4 games. Anyway, apart from anything else, fair play to Livy. David Martindale is very complimentary about his side, at least having the chance to play in Europe.
So Livingston having the opportunity to get to Europe, I think it would be incredible. The boys have got to take massive, massive credit for that, where they are in the league right now. So there's obviously the opportunity of Europe. I think if either of the old firm win the Scottish Cup, well, Rangers win the Scottish Cup now, so if Rangers win the Scottish Cup, there's the opportunity for fifth place Europe.
Interesting. That's how it will unfold. I've got Killie to narrowly beat Dundee United by a 1-0, Roughie. I think it's going to be tight, but I think Killie, I've seen signs, and I think they've got enough there just to edge past United.
Yeah, I was impressed with them at the weekend. I thought they went about their job. I think Lafferty's obviously made a difference. They're at home. I have to say I haven't been impressed with Dundee United since they beat us 2-1. Obviously struggled to beat Forfar, so they're not in good form at all, So I'm going to go Kilmarnock to win 2-1 in this one.
Yeah, Charlie?
Yeah, I'm the same. I think Killie. Went to watch United on Friday night against Forfar, and for where Forfar in League One to where United are in the Premier League, it was night and day, the difference in two teams. Forfar were brilliant, and United are struggling with confidence. The manager's situation. I'm hearing about down south and problems. So it's a worry for United, and I do think that Kilmarnock can beat them. And I think Lafferty, like I say, I keep saying every week, Lafferty's the difference. But he's an international player, and he'll be the one. And like I say, I'm going to go for 2-0 Kilmarnock.
Yeah, no surprise. Killie boss Tommy Wright is viewing his side 2 points ahead of Hamilton as a team more than capable of winning. Now they're scoring goals.
We're going into games now, I think, believing that we're going to score goals and create chances. Now, the other side is, which still has to improve, clean sheets can win you points, and we've got to try and keep more clean sheets in these, whatever number of games we've got left. We know we've got 4 in the league, but hopefully it's more than that with a cup coming up as well.
Could Tommy get any further closer to the computer?
I know, it's incredible. Another thing about him is he never looks into the eye of the computer either. When he's doing his interviews. Still, he's a good lad, actually. If you're ever in his company, he's good fun. But the other thing about it that Charlie just mentioned there earlier, Roughie, which is the rumours just won't go away that Mickey Mellon won't be in charge at Dundee United next season, either by his own choice and offers down south, or that it just hasn't quite worked out the way United wanted it to.
Well, he keeps talking it up. He keeps saying, it's been a good season for us and everything that goes with that. But like all clubs, I think there's things going on behind the scenes, obviously the financial aspect up there. He'll know more than anything else what his budget's going to be for next year. There might be another attractive offer if it's Doncaster, and he'll look at that and then he'll decide, do I want to hang about here at Dundee United with the financial restraint when I can't take them any further? And that's the kind of decisions he'll have to make. But we'll have to wait and see if that materialises because, as a manager, it's good to have options, but you've got to pick the right one.
This is the first draw I'm going for, Charlie. The Lanarkshire Derby. I don't think Motherwell will want to give Hamilton even a wee sniff of an easy win tonight. I'm going 1-1 in this one.
Yeah, no. Chipper was at our game again last night up at Inverness, so he's done some miles to watch games. So I could see Hamilton getting something here, and I'm going to go for a 1-0 Hamilton win.
It's a good point you make, actually, Charlie. If actually Brian Rice was ordered air miles, he was allowed air miles for the actual games that he's taken in this season, Roughie.
Platinum he would be.
He would. He'd be able to take the entire team to Barbados, Roughie.
Yeah, it's amazing. I hope he's on expenses. Most of the games he goes to, because he's everywhere. I think this is the night where Hamilton start their escape. They've got a good record against Motherwell. Tam was telling us the other day there that sometimes you have a team that have got the kibosh on you and you just can't beat them. It doesn't matter what. And I think Hamilton have got that over Motherwell. So I'm going to go Hamilton to win 2-1. 3-0. Hamilton beat them 3-0 at Motherwell.
Did they not beat them 4-1? Was that not the end of Stephen Robinson? The Stephen Robinson's last game before after he got sacked, was it? When Keith Lasley took over. Did they not get beat 4-1? Hamilton no win 4-1?
Yeah, I think Hamilton have done well against them.
Yeah, I think I don't think Motherwell have taken anything. I don't think Motherwell have beaten them this season in the last 3 games. So I mean, I think it's. I don't know. I've got a wee feeling for a draw. Roughie, you think Hamilton to win? Charlie, what did you say?
I think Hamilton 1-0.
Yeah, I'll tell you, if you're talking about the top was a runaway win for Rangers, the bottom end is tight. Ross County St Mirren tonight, Charlie, is as cutthroat as it gets for John Hughes. Game's running out. Need to somehow drag a win from somewhere.
Yeah, you do, especially down there. You need to find a performance of, what it is. I'm only going from what I've seen. I've not seen Ross County this season, but apart from that Inverness game in the Cup, and they were dreadful. Inverness were brilliant against them. So they have to get a win from somewhere. And tonight, do I think it'll be? No, I don't. I think St Mirren will go up there, and I think St Mirren could win this. I think they're going to go up there and they'll win 1-0.
Oh, I've got County to win 1-0, Roughie.
No, I'm looking at the papers, and Jim Goodwin's saying he's hardly got a team to pick from, and he's got about 7 or 8 first-team players all injured. But I think this is a big night for Ross County. I think if Ross County lose this one, they'll go into free fall. So I'm going to sit in the fence in this one, and I'm going to go for a big scoring 2 each.
Oh, 2 each. Roughie, can I just ask you something that I think is worrying? And it has, again, a link to what's happening with the European Super League that we were talking about at the top end of the programme, and some scurrilous behaviour. The SPFL are seeking a second legal opinion before deciding if Pyramid playoffs go ahead. I must admit, I think this is the Highland League and the Lowland League clubs, I think, have really been given, 2 massive boots where the sun don't shine with regard to this. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think they should look at it and say to themselves, what about the meritocracy? What about the way they were treated last season? Surely they can't exclude them this season again, even despite this token gesture that Brecon have offered. Why don't we extend the league so that we can be saved and they can be brought in?
Yeah, I mean, but this just sums this SPL board up. That nobody's showing any leadership. Nobody's standing up and saying, no, get to. This is the rules that are in place. I mean, Brora and Kelty suffered last year. We're not going to let it happen again. But in all fairness, I think there's a lot of the clubs in the division really airing their views against Brecon, which is good. And I think that's the only way that this board will back down. If all the clubs say, look, we all bought into a pyramid system. This is the way the pyramid system should work. And I think it was a wee email that get fired out there from East Stirlingshire, who bought into the pyramid system, and they're now in the Lowland League, and they did what they were told. They were the worst team in the 42, and they got demoted into the Lowland League, and they accepted it, and they got on with it and trying to fight back into it. So, no, well done to East Kilbride, who were taking that view, and East Stirling as well. They bought into the pyramid system. Let's just get on with it and keep to the rules instead of looking for ways to get out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you one thing, Charlie. Listen, nobody can take the moral high ground in this country and try and pontificate the conduct of the 6 teams in England when you consider what's going on with Brecon City at the moment and what happened over the last year.
Peter, we've said it all year, haven't we? It's each club just looks after themselves, and we'll try and help their mate out as well to try and make sure they're all right. It's all backhanders here and they're looking after each other. So it's a worry, and I'm all for Brora. I've been up there earlier in the season. Good setup, invest well in their club. Kelty are the same. East Kilbride spend a lot of money trying to do things right, and you have some of the clubs that are, you think that are in the league, and some of the players that are not even looking after themselves properly. So I think it's wrong, and like you say, there should be a promotion or relegation from that Lowland League and the Highland League. Or make the leagues bigger and have a relegation of playoff as well. But, I think that the Premier League should have more teams, and everybody else below should have, bigger leagues as well. So, like you say, it's going to have to take somebody to stand up and say, no, this is what we want to do, and have people to support that before it starts moving.
Yeah, I hate to correct you. I know you meant all backslapping with each other rather than backhanders. Because
Yes,
there's no
that's what I
suggestion
meant.
that any. Yeah, I knew you meant that because there's no suggestion anybody is taking any kind of brown envelopes for this, but there's certainly a bit of
I
favouritism.
meant just patting favouritism on each other. Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think from that point of view, some of the behaviour is scurrilous, to say the least. I feel really sorry for Brora Rangers, and I feel sorry for Kelty Hearts as well. One of them definitely has to have the chance of a knockout game to get them up there. Now, another bit of news coming in. Joel Glazer has delivered an open letter to the Manchester United fans. Although the wounds are raw, and I understand that it will take time for the scars to heal, I am personally committed to rebuilding trust with our fans and learning from the message you delivered with such conviction. Okay. And maybe that goes on to say that he's really sorry for his conduct in it all. But nevertheless, it's the United fans now, Roughie, who have to react to that sort of line.
Yeah, but maybe if he asked the fans first, they wouldn't have been in this predicament. You know, that a lot of fans, you know, who have the foreign owners, you know, don't buy into them. So they haven't done themselves any favours, you know, by not being at the club all the time for whatever reason. And it just shows you that I think it's consulted the fans and they wouldn't have been in the position they are. So they do have to try and get some kind of favour back in, because you don't want your fans being 100% behind you, whether you're a owner or not.
Yeah, just to clarify that position, Roughie, as well, I'm not correcting everybody on the show today, but had they consulted with the fans, they'd have let the cat out of the bag on the mutiny and the moronic behaviour that they were just about to indulge in. Yeah,
but they might have got an idea of what was going to happen, and then maybe went, oh, well, maybe we better not do that, you know. Yeah. Particularly in these clubs who are all, I mean, everybody keeps saying these clubs are all working men's club, and they are working men's club. I just don't think they realise that these guys are out trying to earn a crust Monday to Friday, and then the Saturday comes along and they want to see the team that they've supported all their life. They don't all of a sudden become a Liverpool supporter or an Everton supporter or whatever. That's what they're brought up to support, and the thought of taking that away from them should have hit hard and fast right for the start.
You mentioned that, but Charlie, I mean, this notion that there's a whole group of supporters who are brought up and their whole DNA is Liverpool, or you're either, you know, you're a red or a blue, or you know, same for the people of Manchester, and of course you're either green or blue here in Scotland. It's a nonsense now because they're so greedy. I mean, I can remember when the Premier League announced the almost £1 billion that was coming into the game because they'd sold the football rights to China as well. Did Arsenal reduce their season ticket? No. They put them up. They had put them up. They were one of the most expensive season tickets that you could actually try and purchase. Don't care about the fans. The common man is gone as far as trying to cater for them. And Roughie said there about, you know, being brought up and being an Everton and Liverpool fan. The Joel Glazers of the world and all of these other businessmen have no real affection for the club supporters and the history. Yeah. What they do, what they feel for is the new fan, this new fan from whether it be Asia, South America, they don't care. As long as the rights are over there and they've hooked in a new Liverpool fan who buys the shirt, buys the merchandise and subscribes to a game.
Peter, you go to Old Trafford on a match day. The Chinese, the Americans, the whole museum, and you know the Busby Babes and the Munich air disaster. You know, it's something you could pay to go and see, and you know that's what they're taking. The days of your fans, your working class fan, they're, like you say, they're all gone. You know, it's so hard for the working class now to be able to afford to go and watch a Premier League match, and it's very, very difficult. And these owners, they've seen a little bit of chink in the armoury to think, okay, we can go and make a few quid here, and that's it. And do you know what? Fair play to John Henry. He's actually come out and done an interview on camera. You can see his face. It's easy to hide behind a piece of paper and a statement. The Glazers won't be bothered about this. this, you know, they never come to Old Trafford anyway. So, you know, Ed Woodward's took the flak for them. You know, he was one probably driven it. He's ended up getting the sack as well. So the Glazers won't be bothered what's going on. Yeah, we'll put a statement out, and the fans will not be happy with that. But the Man United fans have hated the Glazers for the last 15 years. So it's not going to make a difference to them now. It might just, when the fans come in, it might just, you know, stir up a bit of an issue with them singing again, and, you know, the old scarves coming back out. But the Glazers won't be bothered. They're making enough money and taking enough money at Man United, and they will do it as long as they're in the football club.
Yeah, I think the common man has summed it up brilliantly with Eddie Thompson, who's just said to us, Roughie, £3.50 for a pie. I mean, there's very few clubs around Scotland that I'd pay £3.50 for a pie. Maybe Kelly, is that fair?
Well, Kelly won the award. I actually did it in a previous life. We went round every stadium in the Premier League and tasted the pies to come up with a winner. As you can imagine, I was ill for 3 days after it. Having sampled all these pies, but Kilmarnock won that one.
And you had a pint as well. Don't let every kid everybody on.
Absolutely, he did, Charlie. Of course. Was that your days? Was that your days at Real Radio, Roughie? You would go around and taste the pies.
It was a promotion, as you know. These radio stations come up with a great idea that two of us should start at Inverness and work our way down to Kilmarnock and tasting the pies to see if who would win. And it was your old mucker that came with me, so you can imagine he had a lot more than what I had.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he had a bigger mouth. Another thing about it as well, Roughie, is you two would do anything to try and beat us in the ratings, wouldn't you? Hey, let's go around and taste pies. Let's go around and taste pies, see if we can beat Super Scoreboard. Magic. Anyway, you're right, Roughie. The Kelly pie was magnificent. But £3.50 for a pie, that sums it all up these days. I remember the days, Charlie. I hate to sound old about it, but I love the fact that, and I can see somebody going to cane me for it when I say this, but I love the fact when your best mates that you're going to the game with could give you a lift over the turnstile. And I don't know why I said this to you, because I know some of the guys here will say they must be heavy weightlifters and they put you over the turnstile, Peter. But nevertheless, it was good days, Charlie.
Yeah, obviously that was not for me, but obviously you were a lot older than me, and that was the norm, wasn't it? And you had no money. You'd go and you'd get a little hike over the turnstiles, watch the game, and get back home. But now, like you say, the ticketing price, and it's very difficult for to go and watch a football match, especially in England. It's so expensive, especially if you're taking two kids and things like that. So it's tough, and like you say, these rich foreign owners, they're trying to drag it away from that type of supporter.
Yeah, absolutely. There's one thing that always perplexed me, Roughie, as a boy going to the game. I know Eddie Thompson mentioned there about £3.50 for a pie. I wonder actually who came up with the idea when everybody was going to the game in the 60s of saying, here's your spearmint chewing gum and a macaroon bar. What was the real appeal of those two going into a game?
Oh, I can't fathom that out, Peter, to tell you the truth, but it was a pie and a Bovril, wasn't it? Pie and a Bovril was, and we've not got time, but I told you the Billy Connolly story about the pie and the Bovrils at the Rangers Celtic game, but it takes too long to tell. But,
I'm the same now. If like you say, normally try and go and watch a game, I still try and get a pie and a Bovril at half time if I can.
Yeah.
Just because that's all you're used to as a football fan going to watch a game is, even if I'm going to watch on a Saturday, if I don't have a game, if I was down in England and maybe every weekend up, I'd still try and get a kiosk and try and get a pie and a Bovril just to go and watch a game, just to have that atmosphere, and that's what you look forward to going to the game, isn't it? Yeah,
absolutely. It's well seeing you're back home, Charlie. You've started to just embrace your roots again and remember those good old days. The amount of people on here who are actually talking about it in such a nostalgic way, because quite simply nobody can get into the games, but it's coming. I can sense that it's opening up.
I've got it again. We played Forfar, obviously, famous for the Forfar Bridies, isn't they? So we played earlier in the season. I took the under 20, well, not 20s game, but the lads that hadn't been playing for the first team, we went up and played Forfar. And I know the groundsman that there because he was there when my dad played and all that. And he said to me after the game, "Come in here." So I went into the old kit room where the tea lady and that was and things like that. pies and the bridies and all that, and it was magnificent, Bovril and everything like that. So it was, it's just good that the clubs they still do it, and look after the players after the match.
Yeah, absolutely. Peter Shaw says, I'm almost certain that Ronaldo has never had a pie in his life. Yeah. Peter, you'll be surprised, by the way. I'm sure Ronaldo has maybe had a wee pie and a sneaky wee flask of Buckfast, Roughie. Just guessing.
Yeah. No, the thing I couldn't understand was at Scotland games at Hampden, when you'd be playing an international game and at half time you come into the dressing room, there were a big tray of sandwiches. I could never get my head around that, because I mean, we're talking about any sandwich, like ham and cheese, whatever, just a big tray. Is there somebody's going to tuck into sandwiches at half time of a game?
Listen,
have to look though.
I'll leave you with this thought, Roughie. I'll never forget Terry Venables being interviewed, Charlie, and he said, the day we signed Jimmy Greaves for Chelsea, Jimmy and Terry went that morning and had steak and chips. And Greavesy went out and scored for Chelsea on his debut, as he did for every club he ever signed for. So it's different times. If you could play, you could play, whether you had steak or chips or not. If you can control the ball and finish, Charlie, you're a player.
Right.
Yeah, it's incredible. I talked about it on, Andy Millen was somebody that I would, I know well, played with St Mirren. He used to have McDonald's on a Friday and fish and chips on a Friday before a game.
Yeah, and Andy could still play now.
Aye, he was 38, 39, 40 when he was playing with me at St Mirren, and he would have fish and chips, McDonald's on a Friday. Wouldn't bother him, but still as fit as anybody and would play on a Saturday. Listen, obviously it's all changed now, sports science and that, but everybody's different, and it's it's just how your body is. But it's like I said, it's all different from back then and it is now.
Absolutely, it's changed days. Andrew Davison says, great show again, lads. We'll see you tomorrow. I couldn't have summed it up better, Andrew. Thanks to Roughie, thanks to Charlie. From myself, Peter Martin, we will reflect on the games tonight and discuss them and hear from the managers and the key players involved on tomorrow's show at 4 o'clock, where I can tell you Hugh McDonald will be joining Steven Naismith, Roughie and myself. All that remains for me to say is don't forget to follow us on our Facebook. You can do that. You can share the stream and you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. From everyone here, thanks for watching.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.